Hey y'all, welcome to She Read It Real Talk, where I share real Reddit stories, providing reflective commentary with a compassionate perspective. And today we're going to be talking about Am I the A-hole post? And I'll be replacing that language, a-hole, with jerk, or just another term to convey who is the shady person in this scenario. So, am I the jerk? It is an interesting question that is usually asked when something has occurred, something has been said to somebody, something has been done to somebody, and they've responded. And based on that response, they're feeling conflicted and they ask, am I the shady person I am? Am I the wrong person in this situation? And generally speaking, I feel somewhat compassionate for the person who's posing the question because they are the person that was triggered. They are the person that something happened to them. And we've all heard that saying, for every action, there is a reaction. So when you hit somebody, when you say something to somebody, when you put someone in a situation, you can't tell them how to respond. You can't tell them how hard to hit back. You can't tell them what is appropriate to say. And so that's why I have some compassion, usually for the person who is posing that question, am I the jerk? Now, sometimes things get taken a bit far, so let's get into today's post and see, are these people, are they being the jerk in these situations? But before we jump into the post, my name is Harper and I'll be guiding us through the real talk and the Reddit stories. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Our first post says, am I the a-hole for withholding passwords after being laid off? So I'm at work on Thursday, and the CTO comes in and tells me that a software feature I've been working on needed to be finished before tomorrow morning. Okay, fine. I don't have an issue working late, but it was a strange request given that they had postponed the project for several months to have me working on other stuff. Still, I stayed until about 2 a.m. and finished the project. The next morning, when I arrived at work, the CEO and the CTO called me into a meeting to let me know that I was being laid off and that it would be my last day. No 2 weeks, no severance. We'll just need you to finish out today working with Ted and give him logins and passwords and show him the rest of your code. To say I was angry was an understatement. So you knew you were going to can me today, and that's why you made me work late yesterday. Does that seem wrong to you? They just stared at me. No apology, no acknowledgement. So I played my final card. All right, if you're going to play it this way, then it's both personal and business. I need a job, so it's to my benefit to quit right now and walk away and start looking for work rather than helping a company that clearly doesn't care about me. If you want me to sit here and generate a list of passwords and train my replacement, then I want 2 week severance package or I walk right now. They declined and I walked out the door. I called one of their vendors to let them know I was open to work and I had a new job within a week. They're still emailing me to beg me for help weeks later. Was I in the wrong? What really stood out to me about this post is that it is so reflective of the climate we are in right now, which with large corporations, with employers, with billionaires who own corporations, where they are treating the employees in the workforce so poorly. We see it with these calls back into the office where people are being called back into the office and it doesn't really make any sense. There's no more productivity that's happening. It's just the ability for these companies to assert their dominance over employees and over the working class. Also, what stood out to me when we think about today's climate and how employers are treating the workers is with one of the major tech companies asking employees to work 60 hours a week. Like, people have lives. Who wants to be here for 60 hours? Or if you think about how people are who are trying to get jobs right now, having to interview 3, 4, 5 times, having to do projects and assignments, and it's like you that gives companies the ability then to steal your intellectual property. So with all that being said, This OP is certainly not in the wrong. It is this company, it is the employer who is taking advantage of the OP. And I am so happy that the OP stood up for themselves, that they didn't allow themselves to be placed in the situation where they're training somebody else to take over their job and giving all of the access, passwords, codes, logins to the company. I am so elated that that person walked away with more leverage. And these employers, these companies, it seems like they would value the people who are making things work, helping them to earn their millions and to be profitable, but they're not. And you have to stand up for yourself and not allow yourself to be bullied. And the OP certainly did that. Also, hats off for the OP because they showed the professional integrity. They were a professional and that they were asked to do work at the last minute, stay late, did the work, and just, how things go. Certainly their reward for that was something that could adversely impact them. So let's get into some of the replies. The first reply that I wanted to highlight said, they knew and decided to use you. So what you do is email them back as a consultant. You have the right to set your rate of pay for your time. Make sure you get it in writing. And also a good contract with a non-refundable deposit would be a good thing to include. Let's get into the second comment says, I wouldn't advise returning there at any price. They have revealed their character, and most likely they're looking for revenge too. Don't expose yourself to these people ever again. I had something similar happen to me. I was laid off just before the Christmas party announcement, and I walked out the door with the root password and got another job before the end of the day. They must be made to understand that their bad behavior has consequences. I certainly think both of those replies provide some insight to the LP and that they could come back as a consultant or a contractor as long as, they're able to do so and they don't have like a non-compete clause in the place that they're current working. So they could, decide like, hey, if you want me to come back and do some training, you want some of the information that I have, then you have to, pay me as a consultant. That certainly is a route they could take. But I also like what the other reply said, which is, they showed you who they are. Believe them the first time. Don't put yourself in a situation where you could be taken advantage of again. And so I just have one last reply that I want to highlight that says, as a non-American, I read this in disbelief. In other countries, they would have broken the law. It's hard to believe your story is real and not just a troll. But then again, you guys just elected a billionaire who stiffs workers and sent another billionaire on a sacking spree through the public service. So I suppose it's how you guys roll. No worker protection and let them fight for the scraps. That last reply really underscores the situation we're in right now in this very tumultuous climate where employers they are treating employees in the workforce very poorly, and we have to do what we can to stand up for ourselves, just like the OP in this situation. So certainly the OP was not wrong. Let's go ahead and get into our next post. The title says, Am I the jerk for punching my stepdaughter after she played a prank on me that scared me? I know the title sounds bad, but please read and throw away plus fake names. I, 38 male, married Judd, 44 female, a few years ago, and I acquired a stepdaughter, Abby, 14 female, as a result. I dated Judd when Abby was 8, I met her when she was 9, and married Judd when she was 10. I say our relationship is okay. She doesn't act bratty towards me and respects me enough as her mom's husband. However, there is one glaring issue about her, and that is her pranking nature. Abby loves to pull pranks. Some examples are her hiding my car keys with what looked like 100 dubs in a box. I found them quickly because she failed to notice my keys had duct tape on them. Another one is when she hid in the fridge something I still find weird to scare the first person that would open it. Well, last Wednesday, I arrived home and it seemed that I was the only one there. Only my shoes were at the doorstep, and I even called out Judd and Abby's names with no answer. This is somewhat normal as Judd sometimes works late and Abby stays at school for her extracurriculars. So I screwed around with my dog, a German Shepherd and Husky mix for anyone who will ask, for a bit, and then I decided to relieve myself. When I got to the bathroom, I noticed that the window cabinet was open. I thought nothing of it at first and unzipped my pants, and then I saw a shadow behind the shower curtains. I thought the worst and immediately punched the figure behind the curtains. Well, as everyone may have guessed from the title, it was Abby. She was making a prank video, and I hadn't noticed that she had propped her phone on the bathroom cabinet with two cups. I'm not gonna lie, I did not hold back. I punched her as hard as I could. Her nose looked broken, and when I realized it, I flipped out and she did. And after about 5 minutes of freaking out, I drove her to urgent care and informed Judd of the situation. Her nose was indeed broken and would need about 6 to 12 months to recover. Abby won't talk to me. And as for Judd, she thinks that my actions were justified, but she also thinks I should have approached with more caution. And she has refused to elaborate on what more caution means. So this was a real FAFO moment, right? So, like I said, for every action, there is a reaction. But I also want to think about this from the perspective of we're dealing with a 14-year-old here. And how have we gotten to a place that a 14-year-old's behavior has been left unchecked with this so-called pranky nature has been left unchecked where she doesn't necessarily understand that there are consequences and things can happen when she's pranking. And certainly in this situation, she found out the natural consequences, like if you touch fire, you're gonna get burnt, right? You prank somebody and they feel threatened. This man was just trying to protect himself when he punched the person who was behind the shower curtain, who he didn't know was his stepdaughter. Going back to, I think there's just so much more here at the core of the situation because we are dealing with a 14-year-old. We're dealing with a situation where she now this is the step parent, where he's being pranked. He says he's not the only one, but also what makes me wonder where's the mother in this situation? The stepdad met Abby when he was 8. So what is the relationship with the mother and daughter? Because that should have been well established before he even came in the picture. Let's get into this reply. Get a copy of the video. If Abby starts complaining to people about how her stepdad broke her nose, you're looking at jail time. Get and keep a copy of the evidence that she started you while you were using the restroom. You need to sit Judd and Abby down and have a serious conversation. Filming without consent while someone is in the bathroom is a massive invasion of privacy and illegal in many places. While you are in the bathroom, you feel vulnerable with having your pants and your genitals out. Those feelings increase the the fight and flight part of your brain, and you react on instinct at that point. Please include to Abby that you love her and never meant to hurt her. So, really, I do like that reply and that it is focusing on the OP protecting themselves by getting a copy of the video. It also is affirming them to let them know you were in this vulnerable situation and you reacted, letting Abby know that, hey, I still love you, everything is okay, and giving her that comfort as an adult. And the part about having a serious conversation certainly has to happen. I also want to point out, I wonder what the relationship is with the mother and the daughter. That how is a 14-year-old not, she felt that it was okay to be in the bathroom with her stepdad. Like, where is the checking of behavior to know that is highly inappropriate, whether it's a prank, I don't care what the situation is, not cool at all. But I want to get into some of the updates from the OP, which I think will shed a whole lot more light on the situation. And also just want to clarify, no, the The stepdad isn't a jerk. The OP isn't a jerk, but there is a lot more that meets the eye in this scenario. So let's get into some of the updates from the OP. Well, this blew up big time. Let's address a few things about Abby's pranky nature. It isn't just situated on me. She has pulled pranks on her friends, the neighbors, and at school. The school has called Judge several times about this as they have resulted in mild vandalism. The refrigerator prank, she was just 11 when that happened, not a teenager. It was a brand new and very large fridge that my uncle bought and showed it off to everyone. So she climbed in until it opened again. Judd yelled at her saying that she could have suffocated in there and took her outside to scold her for a few hours. The video does not show the toilet at all, just the shower curtain. However, the issue still remains that this was a massive invasion of privacy. The video has been deleted, and Abby has admitted it was purely her fault. So, getting into the update, it has been a chaotic week. Judge still refused to elaborate on how the situation could have been handled differently. I showed her the post as a result, and she did a 180 turn. She suddenly thought it may be time to stage an intervention, and I agreed. We brought some of her friends, as well as my cousin's wife, Jess. Jess is an officer from another state, and Abby does seem to respect her. In this intervention, we stated how we were each affected by her various pranks and how, in turn, they affected her. Jess, Jess also spoke about how much of these pranks border on criminal territory, meaning she could be arrested and face retaliation. It seemed to have gotten to Abby, and she cried a bit and promised to do better. When everybody else left, Jess stayed behind and brought to our attention about a disciplinary camp that we could send her to. The program is 6 weeks long and involves group therapy, individual therapy, and constructive projects, and is held at a university campus. The program apparently has good reviews. Judd seems dead set on sending her to figure out her core problems. I'm a little hesitant about sending a kid away from home, but I'm a step parent, so I got no say. Here is a shorter update from the OP, which says, okay, I swear Judd must be following my posts because now she's taken aback what she said and is now thinking about doing what I and other fellow Reddit commenters suggested in the first place, which is weekly therapy. So we agree that I'm going to find a therapist and I'm going to front the bill for it since she didn't take this seriously in the first place. To that very short update from the OP, I do have one comment which says, do not, I repeat, do not send her to a disciplinary camp. Get her therapy and make her do some community service. If you send her to that camp, she will be broken beyond repair. And I agree. The camp does seem pretty harsh without there being some home based intervention, in that there seems to be something happening in her home environment that also may need to be addressed. So, if that camp happens and it also needs to maybe be coupled with some of that weekly therapy first, just to get to what are some of the core issues that are going on, because I suspect this again is a young person. The issue isn't just with the young person, it is also in something that's going on with the parenting. Let's get into some additional updates from the OP. Well, it's been 7 months and there have been a few developments. Let's address some before getting into some things. Up until recently, I have still been getting DMs asking, why is this brat still living in my house? Why am I still friends with Jess? And why did I name my wife Judd in my post? I was drinking when I made the first post, and I saved the draft, and then I went back after a few hours of sobering up and fixed a bunch of the grammatical mistakes, but some things got looked over and it just stuck. I was planning on calling her Judy. Jess and I are not friends. She is married to my cousin, who I do have a good relationship with, as well as their two daughters and Jess's daughter. Jess has a serious problem with boundaries. As for why Abby was still living with me, you have to understand, I, her stepfather, broke my stepdaughter's nose. If word got out, it would look really bad. I will be seen as an abuser and may even be arrested. Several comments have pointed this out and how I should have saved the video for my own safety. I was pretty much going insane at that point, and my wife thought nothing of it, thinking I should have just let this go until I showed her my original post. To be honest, I just wanted to keep the intervention small, and I didn't want to involve her friends because I felt that they didn't need to know. I just wanted her grandparents and Jess to show up, but I was convinced otherwise. Now for the update. We decided that we would send Abby to weekly therapy. We were under the agreement that I would find and pay for it, and if it worked, my wife would pay me back. It did work. Abby improved. She has realized how much damage she has done. She has even begun to do volunteer work as well, which I didn't think she would do. She has apologized profusely, realizing how disgusting her prank was. She has also deleted her TikTok account, claiming that's where she got all of her ideas from. We decided we would get her a new smartphone for her birthday 3 months ago for the improvement that she has shown. We took away all of her smart devices as a punishment. I don't think I mentioned that before. As for me and my wife, I gave her an ultimatum. Since therapy worked for Abby, it would be time that we go to couples therapy or else we separate. We were having problems before this whole incident even showed up, and now it's kind of been forced. For the past 2 years, we've been living more like roommates, and her enabling behavior is finally causing things to fall apart. She reluctantly agreed. It ended up being short lived. She spoke during our sessions that I had taken things out of proportion and I went too far, posting the incident online. She revealed that she was indeed following my posts, and that's why she changed her mind about Kim. Our therapist then asked both of us if we still love each other at all. I was honest, and I said yes, but it's becoming difficult. My wife, on the other hand, said she was in love with the idea of me. I needed a minute if I heard that right. And she went on how I was apparently a catch. I was younger than her, had a stable job, and owned a house, and she thought my loyalty was a bonus. I don't know why, but I asked her if she cheated on me, and she said no. But it doesn't matter. She just revealed that she settled for me. I filed for divorce 2 months ago. We had a prenup, so things are going smoothly, other than her erroneously claiming some jewelry is hers, but my lawyers seem to think it should be finalized in 1 to 2 months. Still, my soon to be ex wife has moved out along with Abby. My dog misses them. She sits by the door waiting for hours for them to come back. My soon to be ex wife is not happy about how things have progressed. She has been calling me a spineless bastard who couldn't just tolerate how things are, and has been saying this to everyone who will listen. But behind closed doors, she's been blaming Abby for the divorce, claiming it's her behavior that caused it. I know this because she has called me and texted me semi regularly. Abby is living with her grandparents because apparently her mother can't deal with her right now. I actually liked my in laws. They were real good people and they've apologized for their daughter's actions, even offered to reimburse me for Abby's therapy sessions. They told me they were going to take care of Abby because it seems like her mother has finally lost it. I spoke with Abby and I assured her that this was not her fault. Chances are we were going to divorce regardless. She then told me that she didn't want me to leave and that I was the closest thing to a father that she's ever had. This surprised me. I never really saw myself as a parental figure for Abby. I only really did the minimal. Outside of that, I just paid for school events and supplies. And I would carve out some time for her, but I leave it up to her if she wanted to spend time with me. I told her maybe when she turns 18, we can pick back up where things left off. Until then, I don't think we should see each other. Her mother would definitely try to keep her away from me. And to be honest, I need some time away from Abby as well. Things are so quiet at home that it's relaxing. So there you go. I don't even care if my soon to be ex finds this post. That was a lot with those updates. And as I suspected, there was so much more to the situation. It really evolved, right? We started with the focus of, am I the jerk in this situation? Which the stepfather wasn't the jerk at all, but it certainly was complicated in that he did hit his stepdaughter after this prank. But also at the core of the issue, which would, as the situation evolved and we have gone through the post, you really get to see that there's some issues with the mother, whether it be her enabling behavior or her lack of accountability with her daughter and parenting her daughter, with her lack of accountability and being present in her marriage. I certainly hope that Abby, as a young person, gets the support that she needs, whether it's from her grandparents or maybe if the OP, after taking some time to himself, decides to be a part of her further life. But as a young person, and it seems like she is still very reachable and that she responded very well to therapy. So I'll go over one last reply for this post, which says, get your dog a puppy. I'm very glad that Abby has seen the area of her ways and has improved as a human being. Considering you did the minimum and Abby sees you as a father figure says a lot about the pathetic and previous males in her mother's life. And I hope that one day you and Abby have a friendship without her toxic mother. So I think that sums it up. I also hope if the mother, I really hope the mother don't see these posts. And if she doesn't, I hope that she doesn't take it out on the daughter. So let's go ahead and continue into our final story. But before we get there, hey, if you're still here, please like, comment, subscribe. Please help me grow this channel. I want to keep on coming to you with Reddit posts and breaking them down and sharing the replies and providing some additional commentary. Also, if you have any posts that you want to suggest, comment with those posts so that I can potentially feature them on a future episode. So let's get into our third and final post. The title is, Am I the jerk for wanting to divorce my husband because he added pee to my food? All right, y'all, I think we're in for a wild ride because that title alone is wild. Okay, so I don't know if I'm losing it or what, but I, 32 female, I've been married to my husband, 36 male, for 4 years, and I don't know who the F I marry anymore. So he's always had this weird fetish. He told me about where he wanted to pee on my face during intimacy, and I was like, no, just no. Never been into that type of ish. He asked me a few times, and I shut it down. He never pushed me, so I thought it was the end of it. I was wrong. A few months ago, I started noticing my food tasting weird. Not like bad or rotten, but just off. Like my overnight oats, my yogurt bowls, and sometimes my brewed coffee. I thought maybe the fridge was messing up, but everything else was fine. I threw out so much stuff, so much food, thinking it was spoiled, but then it kept happening. But here's the thing, I never got sick. No stomach aches, nothing. So I started thinking like maybe he was poisoning me slowly. I don't know, trying to drug me or something, but it wasn't making me sick. So it didn't make any sense. I just got stressed about it. Also, why would he drug me? He's always been loving. So that didn't make sense either. I told my friend about it, and she was like, you need to put a camera on the fridge just in case, because it's just him and I living alone. The only other person that comes over are our moms sometimes. So I did go ahead and put the camera on the fridge because I was losing it. I got a tiny camera from Amazon, set it up, and waited. This man, my husband, peed in my overnight oats and my brewed coffee, took the lid off, peed, put the lid back, shook it, put it back in the fridge like nothing happened. I thought I was going to throw up right there. I lost it. I went full psycho. I broke his PS5, his TV, threw his clothes outside in the snow, messed up his shoes, everything. He came home and I just screamed at him. He started crying and begging, saying it was a fetish and he thought this was the way he could do it without me knowing. Like, what? WTF? Like, does he think that that makes it better? He said he would go to therapy. We can put cameras all over the house. He would never do it again. He was saying we took vows and we need to work through this. And I saw these people on TikTok asking for advice on Reddit. So here I am needing that outside perspective. I'm at my friend's place right now. I haven't told anyone else. I don't know what to do. He's blowing up my phone saying that I'm ruining our marriage over this mistake. But like, this isn't a mistake. It's effing vile. And I can't look at him the same. Am I the a hole for wanting a divorce, or should I just forgive him? Because really, it just makes me want to vomit forever. Wow. Just wow. I cannot believe this situation. There's so much trust that has been broken. And while the OP thinks she may have went off, woo, she is better than me and probably most people. So hats off to her for saying what she needed to do, breaking a few things and getting out of there and going to her friend's house while she explores what her options are in this situation. And I understand with her being married, she does want to be very intentional, very careful about what her next steps are. But trust has been broken here. Like, you cannot anticipate. You would never think that someone that you are married to, your spouse, your friend, anyone that you are close to and in a loving relationship with, you would never think that they would betray you. They would put their bodily fluids in your food and then put it back in the fridge. You don't know, you don't suspect it at all. And because he did that, it's like, what could be another thing that he could think up to do? Like she said, he wasn't poisoning her, but could that be something else he can think of? Or let me put a little bit of this in your food. I put a little pea in there already. This has gone way too far. It was way over the top. Um, this man thought about this and he acted on his thoughts. And being that this is really his thought process, how his thought process works, that this would be okay. There's something so wrong with that. And that no apologies. And I'm not for sure what therapy could address it. So let's get into one of the comments. Okay. The fact that he was doing this for so long, so many times, and in so many of your foods and beverages, 1000% indicates to me that this was never going to be the end of the story. There are clear signs of escalation in this story. And to be very clear, there's absolutely no telling what he tried before, and there's no telling what was going to be next. It might have gotten worse. I'm so glad that you got out and there you are safe. And so I think that sums it all up. There's so much to be said because I believe for most of us, our just initial response is just so visceral to something to happen like that. Again, just the betrayal of it. You don't do that to a person. But I do just like that reply again. It sums it all up. And this was an escalation of behavior. You don't know what he could have done before. You don't know what he would do if you would continue in that situation. I'm going to wrap it up. That has been Am I the Jerk post from Reddit. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of She Reddit Real Talk, where I've provided some reflective commentary on these posts about Am I the Jerk? I stated from the outset, for every action, there's a reaction. And the golden rule certainly applies here as it does in many situations, and that treat people how you want to be treated. And we can stay out of a lot of this mess here. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.